This analysis is built on a foundation of academic research and declassified defense reports. To see how a 30-minute tactical success resulted in a strategic crisis, it is important to follow the entire sequence of events without skipping. By early 2025, Western intelligence indicated that Iran was on the precipice of a nuclear breakout. Estimates suggested the regime was mere weeks away from a viable weapon, enriching uranium at an unprecedented velocity. On June 13th, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion, initiating the 12-day war. While the strikes eliminated exposed ballistic missile launchers and leadership targets, they were unable to reach the core of Iran's nuclear program. This satellite map identifies the primary obstacle, the Fordow fuel enrichment plant. Its portals and ventilation shafts are buried directly into the bedrock of a mountain, a subterranean fortress that was immune to the munitions used by the Israeli Air Force. With diplomatic negotiations failing, President Trump authorized Operation Midnight Hammer on June 22nd. The U.S. intervened because it possessed the only specialized ordnance capable of penetrating up to 200 feet of solid rock and concrete. This authorization moved the United States from a supporting role into a direct military confrontation with Tehran. If you value geopolitical deep dives rooted in primary source research, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. The foundation for the 30-minute strike was actually laid over 15 years. As these diagrams of the ventilation shafts show, the Defense Threat Reduction Agency meticulously analyzed excavation data and geological density to map every conduit within the mountain. Analysts used this intelligence to create three-dimensional models of the fortress. They calculated the exact blast dynamics required to neutralize the facility long before the first bomber left the runway. To achieve surprise, U.S. Transportation Command launched a telegraphed movement of decoy bombers and tankers westward over the Pacific. This logistical feint successfully drew the attention of global tracking systems, masking the true strike force moving east. Simultaneously, U.S. Cyber Command targeted a vulnerability in a peripheral network node. This digital strike triggered a cascading failure that blinded the Iranian air defense grid, preventing them from launching a single defensive missile. F-35 and F-22 fighters entered the newly blinded airspace to neutralize any remaining threats. Their mission was to clear the corridor deep into Iranian territory for the incoming heavy bombers. The integration of cyber blinding and logistical spoofing allowed American forces to achieve total tactical surprise, reaching their targets without suffering a single casualty. The strike relied on 7 B-2 Spirit bombers, flying a 13,000-mile round trip from Missouri. Their primary payload was the GBU-57 Massive Ordnance Penetrator, a 30,000-pound weapon designed for hardened, deeply buried targets. At Fordow, the B-2s used a sequential tactic. Initial bombs shattered the massive concrete covers protecting the main ventilation shafts. Subsequent munitions free fell into the newly opened shafts at over 1,000 feet per second, detonating deep within the subterranean mission space. While the B-2s struck Fordow and Natanz, naval subsurface assets launched a barrage of 30 Tomahawk cruise missiles targeting the Nuclear Technology Center at Isfahan. The visual impact was massive, with pilots reporting flashes that briefly turned the night into day. Following the strike, the administration immediately declared that Iran's nuclear ambitions had been totally obliterated. However, intelligence assessments soon revealed a critical shortfall. As this overview of the surface facility shows, the complex was vast. 440 kilograms of highly enriched uranium survived the cruise missile strikes at Isfahan because the material was buried deeper than the munitions could reach. Iran retaliated by blockading the Strait of Hormuz, halting the momentum of global energy exports. Within the United States, gasoline prices surged by 36%, triggering a severe economic shock. This escalation led to an institutional metamorphosis in Washington. The Department of Defense was rebranded as the Department of War, a move spearheaded by Secretary of War Pete Hegseth to restore a culture of preemptive lethality. This shift away from post-WW2 deterrence toward proactive force projection deepened global nuclear anxiety. It fueled a public obsession with doomsday scenarios, reflected in films like A House of Dynamite. The operation failed to end the threat. Instead, it normalized a new reality where the geopolitical landscape remained on a volatile, reactive precipice. The strikes altered Iran's strategic calculus. The regime concluded that nuclear latency was no longer safe, and that acquiring a weapon was now a necessity for its survival. This led to the inevitable climax in 2026, Operation Epic Fury. This campaign was designed for absolute annihilation and included a decapitation strike against the supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Iran responded with unbridled escalation, firing thousands of missiles and drones at embassies and oil infrastructure across the Middle East. The region was plunged into a catastrophic multi-front war with thousands of casualties. Operation Midnight Hammer proved the US can crack any mountain on Earth. But it also proved that overwhelming kinetic force alone cannot permanently erase the ideological resolve of a determined nation.